So one of the main themes on this channel is passion, and I talk very often about awakening the embodied virtue of passion. And I generally work with men, and the way that we work is methodical and incremental, and over time, through body practices, through awareness practices, and through your discipline, bit by bit you open up your body so that passion, virility, that creative erotic force within you can slowly open, move up and through you, and influence every area of your life. It's like tuning the engine of your body so that it hums and revs like a beautiful sports car. Now, there is a topic that I haven't spoken about yet, which I think is crucial when it comes to understanding passion. And it's a topic that's absolutely beguiling to me. So let me lay it out for you on this video, and I'll give you a few questions to contemplate over the next few days. So, images. I want to talk to you about images, and that work has a particular meaning. So in developmental psychology, people are talking about images. In soul-related spiritual work like vision quests and a lot of shamanic approaches, they will talk about images. And also in poetry, the word image is talked about, and David Whyte has this wonderful line, the image at the center of your being, as if to say, deep in the center of who you are, your identity as a human person, there is a sense of image. So in all of this, I'm not talking about posters, paintings, works of art, something purely visual. This image is a bit more of an abstract notion of, let's say, a cluster of information, intuition, inner knowledge and knowing, and importantly, a hidden cluster of life force. So if you can find any of the images that really drive you, that are at the deepest bases of your psyche, you can tap into a wealth of knowing and also life force. So let's give a few examples, right? Let's first of all take this purely into the sexual realm. So as men, why is it that even if we're passing through a moment in our lives where we feel low in libido and relatively disinterested in sex, why is it that there always seems to be a very particular quality of feminine energy or a very particular taste in women, or it could be, again, a very particular sub-niche of pornography or a sexual act or even a sentence or a tone of voice that a woman might speak to you with? Why is it that we seem to have an erotic button within us that when it gets touched by an image in the outer world, it just floods us with an inordinate amount of sexual energy? Why? It's like we're living in a disinterested kind of malaise, and then poof, within 20 seconds we've forgotten entirely about that, and we have the virility to run through walls. I find that very, very interesting. If we take this more to an emotional level, and I work with many men that come to me and say, Jordan, you know, it's been 5 years really since I've really cried, or I haven't cried for 10 years in relationship with another person, kind of what's going on, what's wrong with me. You can imagine the archetypal patriarch of a family, someone very stoic who's bearing the burden of responsibility. Why is it that men of this structure often have one movie, kind of in the entire canon of cinema, there's one movie that touches them in such a deep way in the heart that they have to make a run for the bathroom and put on the whole show to the rest of the family that they're not crying, you know, doesn't touch me. And maybe that movie, I don't know what that movie might be for you. Maybe it's something like Bambi or The Notebook or whatever. For me, it's Into the Wild. As soon as I hit the closing scenes of Into the Wild, it's an absolute bloodfest. But those images from cinema trigger something in me in such a deep way that an enormous reservoir of emotional energy is there released when I might identify as being a very unemotional person in the rest of my life. Interesting, right? And then if we look on the third level, a bit more of a spiritual, aesthetic or philosophical level, a lot of us have a sense that there is somewhere in the world a kind of home to which we yearn and to which we want to move. And this might be a place. And I'm really not talking here, everyone's talking about Bali or Dubai or Colombia. I want to go to Bali and Dubai and Colombia. These are more socially led or socially inspired desires to go somewhere. But it's much more of an ethereal beckoning. There's a place and time that I want to go towards. There's a kind of human spirit, kindred community, even a philosophical ideal that I want to walk towards. And it can be very intangible. And yet, if we have a revelation of what that is, it can be extremely guiding for us, because it's like, this is your highest value in life. Come here, do what it takes to follow this and not even grasp it, but live your life in alignment with this, right? So we're talking about revelation of life purpose type thing here. And for the men and women out there who said that they've had this kind of experience of revelation of what their soul should be doing in the world, where they fundamentally belong, what kind of vocation and activity fills them with most energy when they do it, this is a very deeply liberating thing. We can commit to a cause and boom, it's very nice to know that you're doing what you're meant to be doing. What does that mean? I'm meant to be doing it? Yep, but I'm here and I feel it and it grounds me to be in that. So maybe you can sit and contemplate on those three questions. The unique thing that turns on an inordinate amount of libido, the unique image that turns on an inordinate amount of emotional energy in you, and the more ethereal, philosophical, spiritual sense of home, which really cools you and creates an inordinate amount of yearning in your heart. I'll encourage you to explore and journal on that. And these are questions that I very much dive into in my deeper year-long coaching programs. Now, the final thing I want to say on the topic is that the images that I'm talking about are not external images, but they're deeply internal. So when you think of a deeply triggering pornographic image or sexual fantasy or memory, or when you think about those scenes in films that just cut you open, or consider your questions of ultimate significance in a way that open your heart, it's not the images that do it to you, right? You see this image and like Pavlov's dog, you're now triggered into a great form of passion. It's actually that these images remind you of something that is deep and internal to you. That's the external part. But inside, in the deepest fabric of your psyche and who you are, lay these images, which again contain an incredible amount of knowing, wisdom, intuition, and most importantly, life force. What would it be like to know those images very, very intimately as a way to get to know who you are and what most fundamentally cools and enlivens you? That, I think, is a very unique way to explore passion. Thank you for joining me. My name is Jordan. If you want to stay up to date with the latest, you can subscribe to me via Substack for all my writing. The link is below. And also hit subscribe to this YouTube channel as well and get the notifications so you don't miss a video. Now, if you want to pick my brain about any of the topics I talk about on this channel, you can sign up for one-on-one coaching. Again, the link is below. And if you want to take a real deep dive with me and cover a whole few months or a whole year-long experience where we go deep into the kind of philosophy that I talk about here in a way that's going to grow you and deepen your sense of self and who you are in the world and what you can do, then check out some of my courses and mentorship programs. Again, the links are below. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.